What is up, everybody? It's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool video. Back in Planet Coaster in Time City, Episode 4. So, again, we live streamed this, so if you want to check out the live stream, be sure to head in over to Twitch if you want to watch these episodes real time. So that's how this actually all kind of unfolds and everything. So anyways, so for this episode, I do actually start on the little entrance area plaza, and this is the entrance area before you go into the park, so right before you go through the turnstile spot. What we end up doing is making a couple planters, and also we end up building the start of the ticket booth. So that's what we're going to be doing today in the live stream and slash the time lapse. So this is technically the time lapse, which was also live streamed, which was really good. And I have to say, everyone's starting to get over to the live streams more often now, which is actually very nice. And I would love to see more and more come over from YouTube and see it on Twitch. So, a little update. We are going to be getting the last episode of Arrow Valley very, very soon. I'm almost done with what I need to do to get that done, and I had a little idea at the start here to actually make possibly a clock out of the flowers and stuff. I still want to do something similar to that, but I'm going to practice it a little bit more before I actually put it inside a park, because I actually ended up not doing it in this time lapse. I decided not to do it here. It didn't turn out the way I wanted, or as well as I would hope, so I do end up kind of scrapping it and kind of saving the idea for maybe later and everything for planters and stuff. I haven't really planned out like much of the planters and stuff for the park and everything just yet, so I wanted to maybe do it in this larger area. I think that would have been really cool. But I do want to do a lot of cool clock stuff. One thing I have noticed that I have been using is this clock right there in the time lapse right there. I've been using it a little bit more than I had hoped for, and so far. So I'm going to be starting to make probably some more custom clocks myself, and seeing how that's going to end up turning out, because I'm going to be making some larger ones, and it's going to be a little hard to make any smaller ones, but I'm definitely for like those bigger clocks, especially for like the large clock tower for the weenie in the inside the park. There's going to be a huge clock tower that is going to need a custom clock, because that is actually going to be a very, very large clock indeed. So we're going to have to make our own custom clock and see how hopefully that turns out. So I'm going to be practicing that before we get to that sooner or later. So I ended up just going with some like basic planters stuff here, and it's very, very simple, very easy, nothing too fancy or too much, and it works well. You know, I decided not to put any trees in it because I just wanted to keep on the bushes, because I don't want to overdo it in the trees and the planters, because we already have some trees going down the line, and I feel like if we put some similar trees or some trees in the planters, it gets kind of crowded and you can't enjoy like the entrance, because you're going to be greeted by this very awesome entrance area that's going to be really cool. You're going to be seeing clock towers everywhere, and it's just going to be a very magical kind of moment. And I'm going to be adding a lot of vista points here as well, so the guests will be taking pictures of the area and everything, just like real guests would in real life. So that'd be kind of neat and everything. I also want to make a lot of custom lampposts like you see here in the park. So there's a lot of different ones. Again, I want to make it feel like make it feel like you don't know if you're in Planet Coaster or not, because you're going to see all this custom stuff. So I'm also going to be looking into a lot of like different custom roofs and different things like that for a lot of the different architecture and everything like that. So I am very slow at building when it comes to doing stuff like that, as you'll see a lot in this episode, that it takes me forever to do a lot of the ticket booth, because I'm trying to design these buildings to where they're much different than what you would normally see in Planet Coaster. I'm trying to do a lot more advanced building, where you're going to be using parts for different things and stuff that give you new textures or different shapes to different objects and stuff. That is going to be a lot different than what we're used to. So that's going to be the idea for this, what I want to do in this park. I'm trying to challenge my ability to do advanced building methods within the game, and that's going to be that's what I really wanted to test myself with this park, with different things like that. I'm also going to be testing myself a little bit with some terrain stuff. Once we get inside the park, I'm going to be testing pretty much all my skills, because I'm going to be doing a lot of cool rides. I am definitely for at least going to have one, possibly even two dark rides in the park. I think that will be really, really neat for a park like this, especially for, I haven't decided which areas are going to get those dark rides, but I'm at least for sure going to try and do one dark ride, because I do need to try and actually work on my skills on those dark rides, on dark rides in general, because I'm not great at doing dark rides and I want to get better at them. So I just kind of want to master everything at this point, and we'll see how all that goes on. So, but anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying the episode, because we have a lot of stuff, really, because we haven't even started the building just yet in the time lapse here. But again, I'm going to do a lot of different lampposts as well. So this is not like just a one-time deal. I'm going to place it throughout the entire park. No, of course there's going to be lots of different ones throughout the park, especially when you get into those different themed areas. They're not going to all be the same. So again, like the entrance area and everything is all going to be kind of like the theming to it is just kind of like time, pretty much. So you're going to see a lot of just kind of like clocks everywhere, clock towers, and just some really cool, maybe even kind of steampunkish kind of feel to it. I don't know if I would want to say that or not. It's kind of going to be its own thing in a way, because the entrance area is going to introduce you to the time machine and everything like that, and you're being invited pretty much to be a part of this major event where they test the time machine for the first time, and you are the brave volunteers that is going to travel through time and experience all these different worlds and everything. And then the different worlds, of course, are going to all have their complete themes based off of historic events and everything. And that's one cool thing that I'm going to be doing, is I'm going to actually learn a couple things while doing this park, is I'm going to be learning some historical events as well, because I'm going to be basing a lot of my rides and attractions and architecture based off of like actual historical events. And I kind of want to do stuff like that, like base a ride off of, maybe a war or something like that. Something really, really neat, and something that has some true facts about it. That way, because it is going to be, again, going to be that Disney park kind of, in a sense. It's going to be kind of a Disney-ish-esque kind of park. You're going to be learning something. So you're going to get a good education when you're walking through these areas as well. And different things like that. So you're going to be pretty much learning about these time periods within the park, and I think that's going to be a really cool idea, because again, I find it to be a very realistic kind of way to think about this, a park, and it's definitely interesting, and I want to add a lot of layers, of course, to my buildings and everything within the front entrance and everything. So once we get in the park, there's going to be pretty much a main street kind of, with buildings on the left, right. There's going to be some restaurants and everything and different things like that. That's going to be really, really cool. So guests are going to be greeted with that, and they're going to have to take the monorail system in order to actually get to the different sections of the park that has the attractions and everything. So there's going to be like a lot of different stuff, like the Time Cafe is going to be kind of cool, and different things at the entrance. So it's kind of its own area. The entrance area is kind of its own section in a sense, but there's not going to be like any rides or attractions in it. It's just going to be like shops and facilities, and also different stuff like that. So that's going to be neat in that regard. So this ticket booth, I'm thinking about doing a duplicate and putting them on both sides. So there are two ticket booths. So there's one on the right and the left, and that way it's gives that very symmetrical kind of feel to it. And as for the entrance, I kind of want to do a slanted, kind of an arced entrance. So not traditionally arced, but like there's going to be a straight section and then two diagonal sections on the sides of the entrance, so you can enter either straight away or you can go through the diagonal parts as well. So there's going to be a lot of entrance areas for the entrance, and it's going to be a pretty grand entrance with all this like towers and everything. You'll see once we get there. We're not too far off from getting to the front gate entrance episode, so we're going to be focusing on finishing up some of these buildings though, the first and foremost. So we're going to have the ticket booth buildings here. We're also going to have like guest services and also security, lost and found, different things like that. So there's going to be these that's what these pathways are for, leading to these sorts of buildings. So there's in the entrance area, there's a couple of different buildings that you're going to be seeing, and they're going to be all heavily detailed like this. So this is why I wanted to kind of put two ticket booths. Since it is going to be such a large park, it's going to need a couple more ticket booths than just these two, and I think that would be a little more appropriate. So I'm going to put signs also around, that kind of direct people to where they want to go. So there's going to be signs saying ticket booths, and it's going to have like arrows pointing whichever direction, guest services, and different things like that. So that way they can figure out where they're going to be going and everything like that. So again, I did not finish this building, but we got a majority of it done, which is good. So I'm very excited about this building. I was actually very kind of pleased of how it turned out. Excuse me, for the most part, and I'm very excited to see where it goes from here, to see all that. So there's still so much to do, and I know a lot of people have been underwhelmed with the past couple episodes because it's just been parking lot stuff, but trust me, you're not going to want to miss once we get into the park. This is just kind of like the warm-up, and we're not even scratching the surface. We haven't even we're not even halfway to the surface. Like, we're not even close, like, to the surface. Like, trust me. I'm getting an early start too on this as well. I didn't think I would actually start this the series as early as I did, and I did. So I wanted to get a head start. That way I have extra time to actually get this done. See where I did there? Extra time, because it's not like I have a time machine to go back and make more episodes of it or something. Okay, I'm going a little too far with this, but come on, just stay with me. Okay, just stay with me for just please. But anyways, as you all know, I am a very slow builder, and this does kind of happen periodically when I try to really detail a building, and it just takes ages to get done. And I know how frustrating that can be sometimes, and that's why I have the option for the time lapses here, so you don't have to sit through 2-3 hours of me trying to build something when you can just watch this time lapse within a couple 20-minute video instead, where you can watch all the progress instead. That's why I'm trying to appeal to everyone, because a lot of people like the time lapses, a lot of people like watching it real time. So I give those options to you. If you want to watch the real-time videos, they are on Twitch, and they're uploaded on Twitch as well. But the time lapses are going to be here on the channel, and the real times will be on Twitch. So be sure to follow me on Twitch if you haven't done so already. It's going to be very exciting. I'm actually doing some daily streams now, which is really cool. But more information at the end of the video on that. So. But yeah, I wanted to detail this clock as much as possible. I even did like outlines for the outlines, and I wanted to make it feel and look a little bit different from the other ones because it has that. Of course, it's the same clock as the other ones, but I wanted to give it some different aspects to it, and I think that it worked out quite nicely for it. So, but yeah, I wish they had a couple more clock pieces in the game, because they don't have that many clocks. They have like 2 different clocks to use, and one is a lot smaller than this one. So I don't know. There's just not really great for tons of clock towers, and I want to build some different ones that have different clocks and everything like that. So, but you're going to be seeing a lot of different things throughout the time and everything. But as you can see, I got even Time City, kind of like a Time City, just like you see it's a sign at the top just to add just a tad bit of detail to it, and it looks really good. And I was very pumped and excited for how that turned out as well. One thing I really like about these clock towers is kind of the glass aspect to it, with the kind of the windows just surrounding everything. That is one thing that you might notice, is that there's just a lot of windows on everything, and I kind of like that, and I think it looks very, very nice. And I think it's going to be a recurring theme throughout this entrance section that you're going to be seeing, especially probably on the grand entrance as well. So note to self, if you're making more than one clock tower, it is definitely a good idea to just make one and then copy it wherever else you want it. It's definitely a lot easier than trying to select everything. And again, I learn a lot of stuff, and I still do stuff the hard way occasionally. So that is how that works. And I kind of wanted to build here a little bit of my own custom kind of sign. And again, I want to do a lot of custom stuff, and you're going to be seeing that a lot throughout this series, just a lot of custom content. And whether it be custom signs, custom lamppost, custom bins, trash cans even, there's just going to be so much to it. And yeah, so this is the ticket booth sign that is going to go across the the booths right here. You're going to see the tickets. It's going to say tickets on it. And I thought it would just be an interesting shape to kind of give it that round shape as well. And I kind of debated whether or not to put another tower like on top of this sign, or just something. And I'm still kind of debating now still if that's something I want to do in a little bit of the later future and everything. But again, a very slow builder, as you can tell, and there's just so much to do in this park to go. So you're not gonna miss, you don't want to miss any of it. It's incredible. And I know it's underwhelming thus far, but you'll see what I'm talking about once we get more towards the inside of the park, and just once we get more going on it as well. Something that I've also been doing is actually focusing a lot more on my Silver Dollar City recreation. I want to get more into building on that as well, because it's actually starting to get a little bit come together, just a little bit more, and I finally figured out a way to, I think, fit the entire park into one world. So that's getting a little bit off topic, but it's another great series that you guys need to check out if you haven't seen any of my recreation stuff. So what we're doing here as well is we're going to be making like these barriers for the guests to walk around, kind of like queue line, kind of like a queue line for the booths here, the ticket booths. And it's nice, and because the guests actually avoid these, as they treat them as an object, so they'll actually do whatever they can to walk around them. I'm hoping to test these out soon, but we'll see how that works out. So, but anyways, I know there's that's the one thing with this episode. I felt like I didn't get a lot done, but at the same time, I felt like I did, because, I feel like I accomplished something on building a pretty decent building, even though it's just a ticket booth and everything. But, it's just going to set the mood for the rest of the park. You got to have this nice entrance area. You got to have a nice, parking lots. It's the first thing your guest sees before they even get into the park. And it can make a difference, really, if you really impress them before you get in the park. Imagine what they're going to feel like inside the park, and that's going to be kind of a really cool thing. So but we go more in detail in the real-time section, where we find out, where I kind of show off all this stuff. But this is actually, I think, the first time I saved in the game, which is very dangerous, because my computer has actually been restarting randomly sometimes, and it won't do it forever, but just like random times it will actually restart. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. But again, with the windows, that theme is very, very evident, but it gives it kind of like that modernish kind of theme, but when you use these certain types of windows, it kind of gives that classic kind of feel too. So it's kind of a mixture of classic and modern at the exact same time. And these TVs are going to have prices on them, and I just kind of have a placeholder for right now as a video, which is nice. So I'm going to be making a lot of custom images for this as well. So when I upload it to the Steam Workshop eventually, you're going to have to remember to download all the custom images and stuff that will be available in, as a link in the description or whatever for the park itself in the Steam Workshop. I don't know exactly, but yeah, it's going to be cool. I knew I had to have some awnings over this. Just to kind of help out with the sun on those sunny days, of course. You gotta have some awnings on over the booths, which helps. And yeah, I like to do a lot of trim work as well on these. And the one thing about this ticket booth is I did have to actually detail the back of it quite a lot. Because it is going to be actually in plain view when you're entering the park, so it does have to be heavily detailed, and that way when you're walking into the park you see this amazing kind of building in front of you. You don't even know what it is yet, and it's a ticket booth, and you're like, when you get around it, you're like, wow, that was just for the ticket booth, you know. It's kind of one of those things. But yeah, but I think I'm going to have it symmetrical and actually make a second building off to the other end. That way there are two of these buildings set. That way there are enough ticket booths to go around for the guests, and that they will work very well. So again, we're going to have the ticket booths, guest relations, and possibly even like a bathroom of some sort. Might be a decent idea in the future as well. But there's still a lot of work to do on this building. Just a little bit here in the time lapse. So we do decorate a little bit on the back side of the building. I still need to decorate the side. That is something I have not gotten to as well, but those will get there eventually. And again, we go a little in detail on the real-time section at the end, but you'll see. And yeah, it's just, again, more of this kind of trend, and I felt like it was a little too much, so I wanted to like get it down with some of these trends, these little details, so it adds even more detail over the detail, kind of, if that makes sense. So there's more detail over the detail, and there's just a lot of windows, and it's more of like a facade kind of on this back side to kind of give you an idea of how good it's gonna look. So I also make some custom lamps on the edge here on the back here in just a moment, you'll see. And those kind of create the lights on the sidewalk here when you're walking towards the entrance of the park, and those are going to serve a pretty good purpose as well once you see those come into effect. So there's one thing for certain: when you're on the inside of this building, you'll have somewhere to look outside. You can definitely see outside, but this is more, again, probably more would be more like a facade in the long run. If it was a real park, like none of these would probably be actually functionally real glass pieces and everything. They're just there for looks. That way you get this fabulous look of the entrance area for the park itself. So that's going to be really nice. And I also thought there needed to be more shapes on the outside here, so I decided to push this balcony out a little bit, so there's like a little balcony here, and I thought it was a really good idea at the time, and as long as I detailed it up enough, it would turn out kind of decent. But I had some issues here and there trying to figure it out for myself, but we ended up getting it pretty decent for the most part out there, so it ended up working out just fine. And I feel like when you're in doubt with your corners, just get a piece to cover it up, and something that actually adds more detail to it anyways. So it ended up working out in the long run, and actually ended up making it look a little better, I thought, anyways. So it was kind of a win-win situation, so that kind of worked. So One thing I knew I had to do is actually put some pillars on this because it was very much under supported, I felt, and that's something we needed to kind of make sure of, that we had the nice support in here for our little balcony, and of course it had to have some detail on it as well. So you're seeing like that black trim with those bricks, those kind of a nice common thing I kind of used for the most part in the whole thing, and it worked very well for this anyways. And I used one of those or whatever they're called, like the trims for the roof and everything, pieces, whatever. I don't exactly know what they're called, but anyways, they looked good. Then I know I had to put like a top piece on that brick part, so there was so much that went into this building. You can't even like hardly see the wall that I actually used in it, because I covered up pretty much like 98% of it for the most part. So that's how that kind of turned out. Yay, we actually saved again. I needed to get a little more habit on saving, as we know what happened a couple episodes ago when I lost the file, because Planet Coaster ended up crashing, and it didn't autosave once, so that wasn't good. And we don't want that to happen again, especially when we make something really good, and we don't want to have that end up happening once again. So here comes the lamppost on the side. Again, it's even something different from the one that we used on the planters over there. Those custom lampposts. This is one that's actually attached to the building that will give out some pretty good light, so our guests on the sidewalk can see where they're walking as they're walking towards the entrance. So that's one thing I have to say, is this park's going to look pretty good at night, I think, as well. Even what we got so far, it's turning out pretty decently, and I like how it's turning out. So this is kind of like the last part of the time lapse, or it's making this, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves of the game, is that I cannot select this and make it symmetrical, or use the advanced move tool to make it move where I want properly. It does this weird slant thing, and it's always been one of my pet peeves of the game, is just how it uses that. And I kept messing with it for quite a long time in the time lapse. It was kind of funny in the stream, because I was just like, my gosh, how hard is it just to move this to the side over a little bit, and apparently it's very hard. Apparently it's not that easy. You gotta do things. So I'd actually placed a couple less because I thought I put too much at the beginning anyways. So I just I think I just put 3 here. Which ended up working just fine, because it actually lightens it up pretty well, and I wanted to put some lights underneath. That way you get that area kind of light feel. But anyways, that's about it for the time-lapse section, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. And yeah, so this building, very much a work in progress, but it's looking fantastic. And thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy the real-time section. Alright guys, welcome to the real-time section of the video, and we are here, and I'm just going to show you around just real quick in real time. So what we have done in this episode is, of course, we have before we did mention that I built these lampposts, and of course these little planters here, which might get changed in the later on. We'll see. And then of course we have the ticket booth that we are currently working on. It is currently not completed, of course, and that we just have some nice clock towers. There's still some details, of course, on like the sides and everything that still need to be done, but a lot of detail and thought has gone into the ticket booth and how it's going to be going down. So on these screens, we're going to of course have the ticket prices, which will be cool, and hopefully the guests, I'll have to test it to make sure they actually serpentine and actually kind of go around into to get to the info booths. Hopefully they do, and we'll see how that goes. And yeah, so that's good. And we also added this little bit of a road over here to kind of connect the parking lots a little bit more. I think it makes it look just a little more realistic and a little better, and that looks good. So when we get back, we of course will be working more on the entrance area, and that's about it. So we didn't get a whole lot done, but we did get some good stuff done, I thought. So anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure you comment, like, and subscribe for more amazing content like this, as we have a lot more to do. And if you want to catch a real-time live stream of Time City, I have actually started a new schedule on Twitch, and you might run into one of the Time City live streams. So I've been doing 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, and that's what I'm going to start doing now, is live streaming on Twitch. At the moment, daily. It could change throughout time, but we'll see. Haha, you get it? Through time. But anyways, thank you guys so much. If you want to check out the Twitch channel, make sure to click the link down in the description, and also check out the JLW Game merchandise if you'd like any JLW Games merchandise or Time City merchandise, because we also have the Time City logo as well, if you're interested in that. But anyways, have a great day, and even cooler tomorrow. Thanks so much, guys, and goodbye.